Welcome to the Ultra Running Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Scotty Sando. My next guest is four-time U.S. Track and Field Trail Runner of the Year, Mario Mendoza. He joins us just days before his next venture at UTMB. Mario's had quite the epic career thus far. Here's a small sampling of his achievements. He's a former two-time world record holder of the 100K on the treadmill at 6 hours and 39 minutes and 50K on the treadmill at 2 hours and 59 minutes. He has 15 top three finishes at an array of USATF championship distances. He nailed first place at Lake Sonoma 50 miler last year, and most recently was a Triple Crown winner at this summer's Broken Arrow Skyrace in North Lake Tahoe. As you'll hear, Mario evolved his passion for running into a way to connect with community and break down some of the biggest barriers that exist in our country today. My amigos, give it up for the gifted Mario Mendoza. Mario, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I'm glad it's Friday.
Oh, say that again. My goodness. That's the rumor that's going around today anyways. I was just like barely just crawling to the finish line, but I'm so glad to be here. And I'm so glad to be ending my day with you. So you are a busy guy. You have a new addition to your family that I think back in February. Is that right?
Yeah. We have another kiddo now. So yeah, number 2 for us. And they were right that 2 kids is harder than 1.
Well, I was on the one and done plan, so
there we go.
I can only understand what that could be like, but best wishes to you and your family. How's that going for you in terms of life balance with you and the family, and having, a little one like that must be a lot.
Yeah, the reality is some days it's like, man, we're doing this and everything is awesome and we're doing well, and then other days is like, ooh, very overwhelming, and we get just caught like feeling like we just have so much to do, and it's taking us forever to do one thing, with 2 kids. But it's a stage of life. I have a couple of mentors in my life, and they both said, that was the busiest years of our lives, and you kind of have to see it as that's just the stage of life you're in, and it's okay, and that's been the motto for my wife and I, has just been like, okay, embrace this stage and enjoy those days that are awesome, and then the days that are hard, and those are far and few between, but when they're hard, just get through, just survive.
Right. It is, I think, life's most ultimate ultra.
Exactly, it really
right?
is. Mm-hmm.
So I want people to get to know you, and I'd like to hear your story. You have a very unique story, and I really love just how you've used running to find your purpose in life so far. But let's step back a little bit. How did you get into this life of running that you have?
Definitely, yeah. I was actually a soccer player, and I would run a little bit just to kind of stay in shape for it. And we grew up on a big farm, where I had a chance to kind of play around in nature all day. And I think I didn't know it at the time, but that's really where the love of being outdoors and the love of trail running began, just very organically. And when I hurt my knee in soccer, I tore my MCL. I had to pick something different that would help me kind of overcome that and just get strong again. And that's really when I got into running and did more of it, and realized I was pretty good at it. And so then decided to run in college, and it just progressed from there. I really got into trail running fairly quickly. Some people, I think, kind of wait a little longer, and that's okay. But for me, it was like, as soon as I finished college, I was straight into trail running.
You grew up in Cambria, which is in the central coast of California. It's a beautiful part of the state.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to go check it out, you really should.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you had pretty easy access to trails there as a kid to get out there to explore and kind of discover yourself in running.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I was lucky. Not a lot of people had kind of the access I did. It wasn't like a big trail system, but enough for somebody my age, more than enough. And a lot of beautiful stuff. Like we had oak trees and shaded trails and hilly trails. And so it was pretty sweet.
Yeah. So as you heard from the intro of the show, that Mario is a very accomplished runner, and so the transformation from going from a kid who just kind of ran up the hill behind his house, probably, to what he is now is pretty big. So what was that transition like for you from going to running trails, doing your occasional half marathon? I think we ran the Lithia Loop National Trail Championships back in 2010 together.
That's awesome. That was when I was just starting. That's so cool.
Me too.
Yeah.
That was so, like, for me, I mean, there's Max King was there. I think he may have won it that year.
He won it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, oh my gosh, like I've not run ultras yet. I think you're in the same space as I was.
Yeah. My first marathon was a trail one. Yeah, that was it.
And I thought, wow, I can like toe the line with all these like elite runners for like, I can keep up for maybe 3 seconds, but after that, forget it.
It's still awesome, so cool.
Yeah. And that is in Ashland, Oregon. So, and one of those things, if you get the chance to run it. It's a beautiful course. You'll thank me later. So what was that progression like for you going from your trail marathon to running ultras?
I took that one a little slower. I did not run an ultra for 3 years, which was interesting. I just thought at the time there was still that marathon trail championships. There was the 10K trail championships and half marathon trail championships. So there was a lot of these shorter ones, which was kind of fun. And so I took my time. My first ultra was the McKenzie River 50K. And I believe it was either 2012 or 13. That was my first one. And I liked it so much that I did another 50K 2 weeks later. I did the 50K trail championships flag line that were here in Bend. And so I was kind of hooked after that.
You drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. You did. I was done.
At what point did you find that you have a talent for this, that you could parlay this into a kind of a pseudo career, or to take you places, around the world?
Yeah, I would say that there was a few kind of glimpses of it right away. One of them was I finished 8th at the US Mountain Running Championships, which is the shorter one, and that one's really competitive. And I was like, oh, that was, that was like my first one. And I was like, that was pretty good. And then I finished second at a couple of the longer trail championships, and I was pretty excited about that. And a lot of times it was second to like Max, so it was like, okay, well, he's really good. So I knew that I was at least doing decently. And then I had some kind of unexpected success. Like I would jump into a half marathon on the roads, and I ran 106 on the roads twice. And so then I was like, that's pretty good. It's like close to Olympic trials qualifier, and I'm training for the trail. So I was like, I guess I'm a little fitter than I thought. And I got excited. So I started doing more trail races and started jumping into bigger races. And that's when I was like, okay, what are the bigger races? And I found, stuff like Lake Sonoma, Bandera, 100K, things like that people seem to really hold with higher prestige, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So when you approach these national championships, did you set an intention when you signed up, like, I want to test my mettle against these elite runners, or it's like, I'm just kind of doing it because I'm just curious and I like the vibe?
The second one, it was definitely a little more like, I'm curious. This is fun for me. I will admit that I got second at quite a few that I was like, I just want to win one. I was just starting to get a little irritated. Like I was second at 6 different championships, and I was like, I just want to win one, even if I just win one, I'll like be at peace. And I finally won one. It was the 10K that I won first. And then it kind of broke the curse. After that, I was able to win a few other ones, and so it was kind of cool, but it was frustrating at first.
Yeah, that frustration, ambition can keep you up at night sometimes, and
Yeah.
thinking, what could I have done better? It was
Yeah,
probably that
yeah,
one extra goo. I probably should have taken it, and that
yeah,
would have done
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it was like, gosh, what is going on? Yeah.
So then what was the breakthrough for you that you find yourself on running for Team USA and all these other, and just going to UTMB,
Mhm.
and seeing and doing all these things?
Yeah, it was never like a perfect linear progression. Sometimes I would have these rough races that it would be like, oh gosh, like maybe I'm not where I want to be. But overall, I think I became very consistent after about 2014, 15. Once I had like three-ish years under my belt, then I was actually one of the more consistent guys, I would say, because I would place pretty consistently at the World Championships. I would place consistently at the US championships, and I think the breakthrough for me was kind of believing. It was really just like believing that I was capable of doing well. Even times where I wasn't ranked very well, like a lot of times I would go into races and either people would just kind of forget I was there and I wouldn't even be ranked in the top, and sure enough I'd do really well. And even some world championships that I wasn't even ranked like 3 on our team, and I would finish, top for the US and top 10 in the world. And I did that a few times that I was like, okay, this is not a fluke, this is really where I belong. And that was cool for me to experience that, because I was like, okay, I thought as a kid that maybe one day I could get top 10 in the world at something, and so to actually accomplish it and accomplish it multiple times was pretty cool for me, because I never, I never really thought like that would actually happen.
So,
Yeah.
and congratulations for making it, but let's pump the brakes here for a moment. You just mentioned that as a kid, you thought that you could never, get the top 10 of something. Was that something that drove you as in your youth, that you wanted to be top 10 of something?
I did want to be top 10 at something. Yeah, I really, for a while I thought maybe it would be like soccer or something. I was very athletic. Like I played a lot of sports, and part of the reason I kind of thought maybe I could do it at first was because we went to a small school, so like it was easy to be pretty good in a small school, and so I was like, oh, maybe I am really good. And then it was kind of like in college that I sort of lost that, like I lost sight of this dream, and I kind of forgot. It was really later in life that it started to sink in again. I was like, whoa, I did have these dreams. These are dreams that I thought of when I was playing on the farm, and I wanted to accomplish them. So I would honestly say that deep down it did drive me in a good way. It like drove me to be disciplined, to do my best. And in that I can say I was a very, very disciplined kid. Like I did really well in school. I was scholar athlete in every single school that I went to, which I'm really proud of that, actually. Like even in college, to accomplish that, to make my parents proud. And it wasn't because I was like really smart. It was just I did the work, I did what I needed to do. And so I think it did drive me. I think that desire to be great, it drove me.
Not a lot of people can say that, but your words are so inspiring for folks who maybe they had a dream at one point in their lives and they've forgotten about it. Maybe now there's remembering that, what,
Yeah,
I can do that. It's not too late. I mean,
exactly.
I'm not going to be like a top 10 pole vaulter by any means, but I mean, I want to be realistic about it. At
Yeah,
least.
yeah, but maybe, in the field that you're striving to be excellent, right? And
Exactly.
yeah, and it's not out of pride. It's like you desire to be the best version of yourself.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
well said, Mario.
yeah.
So I want to talk about, you're talking about, before we got off on this tangent, about rankings and, like competing and not hitting a ranking here or there. Can you distill why is that important to you, and what does it mean for you if you do or don't cross that threshold?
Yeah, I have found, I mean, early on in my career when I was a little immature, it bothered me more when I didn't do well in races. But now it really just, if I do my best, I feel satisfied. I feel like that is enough. And so now, if I don't hit the rankings that I want to hit or these goals, um, I look at it differently. Where I think before, um, probably my first 3 or 4 years of trail running, I was still in my early 20s, and I just hadn't developed that maturity to be like, okay, today was not my day. And it's not that I don't think I was rude to anyone, but it was just like, it would bother me more than it should.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think about it way too much. Where now it's like, well, if I did my best and I prepared, that's all I got today.
How much of that sort of the self, I guess, that criticism, right? Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad if you put too much into it. But how much of that do you think, made you successful to be a driver for you in terms of wanting to be successful?
I think that a lot of successful people, they are pretty critical of themselves. They are hard on themselves, but it's like you can go too far, definitely. And I think there's a healthy level of like, okay, I'm really just trying to be the best, and I am gonna look at it from that perspective of like, what's the best that I can do, what's the best that I have, but not let it weigh me down or let it create this like anxiousness or even fear, because then it's actually hurting you. So it's like, it's almost like, to a certain extent, it's healthy and good to push you, to motivate you. But then if you let it get to an unhealthy place, like, you could never be satisfied. You could just finish a race and win, and immediately be thinking of what's the next one I have to win, and not even enjoy that. And I caught that a little bit for me, because I remember I was like, I just want to win one national championship, and then I won it, and then I was like, I just want to win two, and then I won two, and it's like, I just want to win three, and then I'll be completely satisfied. And it's like, that never fills you, and so you have to find the filling in another way, of just knowing that you gave your best.
And did you find that for yourself? Did you kind of steer away from that mentality? And
I feel like I really have. I feel like, honestly, the last 5 or 6 years, I feel super satisfied with like all of my career. Like, if it ended real soon, I would be okay with it. I'm hoping it doesn't end, but if it did, I feel like I have nothing to prove, nothing to finish. And that has the question has come up, like, do I need to then continue to compete, and can I still give my very best? And I think so. I've seen still some pretty good performances in the last few years, and
oh yeah,
I
not too shabby. First place, Lake Sonoma. Thank you very much.
yeah, there we go. There we go. It was nice to finally win it. I just needed Jim Walmsley not to be there that
Right.
year.
Just I want to sign up, but is Jim Walmsley there to be there?
Yeah.
He is. I'll forget
Yeah,
it.
if he's not there, please sign me up. Yeah. It was nice to finally win it, because it was like I'd been, third twice there. But yeah, I really still think that the motivation to run well is there. It's just different now, that it's really more like about inspiration and my community and my family and my kids. I was thinking about that the other day. I really want them to know that their dad did not give up. Like, I just like, I want them to know that I didn't just say, oh, you were born and then I gave up everything. Like, I want them to know that I'm going to give it my best. And yeah, that means like being, there for them first, but also trying, to still get out there, to still fight. And it's exciting that my kid is starting to understand that, for sure. My older kid.
Yeah, that's a beautiful gift to give a child. And you talked about if it all ended tomorrow, you'd be satisfied. But Mario, I'm here to say you can't end it tomorrow because there's too much to do.
There's still a lot to do.
You have to do so much.
Yeah.
And the honest truth is, Mario, is that we need you. Our culture, our society needs you. And that's kind of the next step of this conversation, which is very important to me. And in my research, kind of learning about you, I really identify with you and your upbringing. Mario, if you don't mind me saying that your parents are from Mexico. My mom's from Mexico. I was born here in California. You were born here in California. And that really has shaped your American experience, your life here up until this time. So I want to talk about that and how kind of running intersects that for you. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And
yeah, definitely. I look back, just the lives that my parents lived, and honestly, the difficulty that they experienced. They experienced a lot of difficulty. My dad was like as poor as you get. I mean, they lived outside of like the city limits in a little hut. And I have pictures of this place, where they grew. I've visited this place when we go back. And so to see where he's come is beautiful. It inspires me. And my mom worked in the bracero program, so she would work in the US for half the year, and then they would go to Mexico and spend half the year over there. So every year they would travel back and forth, and seeing them, just like the life that they created for me, just really has kind of put fuel in this running thing. It's sort of like something I always think about when I'm in these ultras and I'm suffering and I'm in places that are hard or I want to give up. It's like I think about them and it motivates me, and it helps me persevere. And I know that they're watching. I know that they are drawing inspiration then from my race. And so I think like my upbringing has very much fit into this ultra running and trying to do my best, and it, not to mention the fact that when I go to Mexico and even the times that I've raced over there, it's so fun. Like they've watched, they've followed my career, like, and so when I go over there, it's so fun because I'm like always shocked by the fact that they have cared and they've supported me, and so it would feel weird for me not to acknowledge that that's where my family's from, and that even though I've run for the US team, there's a love for Mexico. There's a love for where my parents are from, and I feel it when I go to visit. So they're connected, very, very much.
so recently you were part of this beautiful short film called 100 Miles to Build a Bridge. It's a metaphor, not a physical bridge.
Totally.
And it's been nominated for 2 Emmy Awards. Congratulations to you and everyone behind that project. But can you share with us what that's about and why it's important to you?
Yeah, that year was kind of crazy. Like I had planned this run before we found out about this film and that somebody wanted to do like a project on it. And so we had already planned this run because that was an area where it was very meaningful to me because I grew up there in Cambria. And it was a time in our country where, like, I know there's still so much division, just it seems to be targeted and, to different areas at times. And at that point, there's a lot of division between the US and Mexico. There was a lot of this like tension. And I honestly just wanted to do something, just like I felt like I wanted to do something, not make this like political statement, but just really just like all right, what is something that brings people together, that can motivate people? And running does that. Running, suffering together really builds unity, and you grow, and you like quickly become friends, when you're running together. And so I was like, I'm gonna just do this run. And so then all these things happen that open up these doors. So like number one is, there was a guy in Cambria who was a son of one of my best teachers. Like I had this teacher that was like my favorite teacher in middle school, and his son is a runner, not a good runner. He just is a runner. He does all these treks. His name is Steve Niffen, and he was trying to get somebody like that was elite to come out to Cambria and run 100 miles. So then when he connected with me, he was like, you're the perfect guy to do that. And I was like, I was going to do that anyways, so it was like this crazy, just organic, kind of felt like it was all orchestrated. And then in that planning, that I was contacted about this film. And so, they started with saying, we're just going to do 3 minutes. And then they're like, oh, actually, we're going to do 5 minutes. And then they're like, we're going to do 15 minutes. And then the film just kept getting longer. And they're like, we're going to go down there. And all of it just was pretty special. That was a day that even, you could watch the film and get glimpses of it, but it was such a special day. Like you could feel this like kind of bonding and this energy, and not because of me. Like it was just like the people there brought it, and brought the energy. The runners, the people that were supporting this run, had so much to offer. And so that film to me was kind of, it was like sort of personal, but also like realizing that so many other people felt the same way, that we can't allow division to happen. We have to run together. We have to embrace where people are from, and create a better environment here in this country. And I know that's a big goal, but for me, it started where I grew up. The energy started there.
And you're
Yeah.
doing your part, and we all have a part to play. So what are your thoughts about Latino representation in ultras today?
Definitely. I think I'm seeing more. Obviously, it's not where I want it to be, but I'm totally seeing more Latinos participate in ultras, and good ones, like even some female runners that are amazing. And so I'm excited. I know that I'm very passionate about that. And even for Brooks, they have a really cool running club in LA that they're supporting, and it's all like Latino female runners. And I love that. That is so cool to me, because the more that we help and support and create this environment, I think it's gonna make a big difference. It'll leave an impact for sure.
Well, again, thanks for doing your part. It's, again, so very important. And you said you run ultras down in Mexico before. You ran the Ultra Trail de Mexico 100K.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, given your personal story?
It was so special. I've rewatched this little video they made a couple times, just because it was very, very special for me. I went with my dad, and both of us did not expect the environment to be as big as it was. It was huge. There was like a lot of people running, and a lot of people cheering. And so when we showed up, we're like, whoa, this is way bigger than we expected. And the trail running is really taking off here. And then I got to run with guys like Ricardo Mejia, he's the king of the mountains in Mexico, and like legendary runner, world champion. I mean, that guy has done some incredible things, all in the best trail races in the world. And so I got to run with him, his first ultra. And there was a couple guys from Colombia that were really good. And so I'm just like, I honestly didn't expect to win. It played out really well, but it was just like, gosh, this is phenomenal. This was so cool. And it was raining, it was muddy. We crossed 15 different rivers and we're sliding down this mountain, and it was like so hard. Like there was it was like sections that you cross the river and you went like over this little ladder, and so you had to like hold the rope to make it across, and it was just so unreal and challenging. I mean, it only had 11,500 feet of vert, but because of the technicality of the race, it made it feel like way more. It made it feel like almost like a UTMB kind of thing. And so it was unreal. And the people were just so supportive and embracing, and they were like embracing my dad and giving him hugs, and and so like my dad was so happy. He was like, I like this place. Like he's like, we need to come back. So it was so cool. One of my most special races for sure.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that UTMB, which you have coming up in a very shortly here. I'm surprised how calm you are right now, because I'd be, bouncing off the walls at the moment. So what are you running, and how are you feeling about it going into it?
I will be running CCC, and I'm excited. I wasn't able to get enough points to do the full lap, and I think for this year it just makes sense with the newborn to just do the 63 mile. It makes sense. So I'm excited. I feel pretty good about my prep. I did pretty much all the stuff that my coach is Mario Fraoli, so Tocayo as well. So he gave me a plan, and it was really, really close to what he gave me. And I'm proud of it. I think it's about I would say a B plus in terms of preparation, and an A plus in terms of doing the best that I could with the time I was given, and the just the busy season that we're in as a family. So I'm excited. I think it can go well. I think it's one of those where the race is so competitive, and it just seems to keep getting more competitive. I think this year CCC is very, very stacked. I mean, there's some like super heavy hitters. Like it's way more stacked than the last time I did it. And so last time I just missed the top 10. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, is it realistic to try to get top 10? But I want to try, it's like, maybe I can't, but at least go for it and see what happens. And I feel like there's enough that I've done that it could go very well. Like there are times where in my career, the race just went better than I thought. And this could be one of them, just because I did do the vert, I did put in the vert that we needed, and some miles. I would have liked to hit like 100 miles a week a couple times, but I did like 90s, and that was close, so I'm like, all right.
Yeah. And folks, I mean, I'm talking to the Triple Crown winner at the Broken Arrow Skyrace in Lake Tahoe just back in June. So
that
Mario's been doing the work.
yeah, that actually, I've thought about that one a couple times, because I'm like, oh yeah, that I did do that. That is in my system. Yeah.
Hey, I only have a few more minutes left here, but I want to talk about your website and the things that you have going on there. I saw that last year you held a youth trail running camp, which I thought is just so wonderful that you're doing that. Can you talk about that? And you do take donations there. Where can people go to give, and what does that money do?
Yeah, definitely. I have been really bad about updating kind of the recent events, but we have been doing some pretty cool stuff. Like in Madras community, we actually helped put on some races recently. We're putting on some challenges, and we're putting on some more, like a series that I'm going to do this fall. And so now the website that I've been working on a little more is actually madrasrunners.com. That's why I haven't focused a lot on my own, because I felt like now that we have more of a team, I didn't want it to be just like all on Mario's website, and I really wanted to build this club. So this club has really started to take off, and we have more help. We have a full board there, and then a president who lives in Madras. Her name is Jamie Hurd, and that's been really exciting for me because I feel like this has made it a little easier for me to feel like, okay, even if Mario one day has to step away, which hopefully I don't, this is going to continue and the impact is going to continue. So that community is a third Hispanic, a third Native, and a third Anglo-American. And so it's kind of cool because it's just a really beautiful community. It's really blended, and we continue to do a lot of running events, and we also actually coach a little bit there. So we had a great track team this season, and then a great cross country team. So people just should know that they can give if they want to. All of it goes into the running, to the running community, into these youth specifically that range anywhere from 15 to now we're working with some that are like 25 and 30. So a lot of running, a lot of fun outdoors time. Yeah.
Good for you, Mario. I am so proud of you and the work you're doing. You're an inspiration to so many people, and we'll never really know the full impact that you're having in your local community and beyond. But I know it's just a wonderful thing. So from the bottom of my heart, thanks so much. And I wish you all the success in the world at UTMB. I'll be watching you, and you have countries behind you rooting for you. So I hope it goes your way. I hope you have the best run of your life there.
Thank you so much. I feel privileged that I got interviewed by you, and just so special that we have such a similar connection. So thank you. I feel the support. So
the privilege is all mine. Seriously. Hey, let's talk again after UTMB. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Thank you.
You got it.
Blessings. Okay.
You too. Thanks, Mario.
Take care.